heartland of Tamriel. She's ailing, maybe beyond saving, but I'm sure you'll take a fair crack at it all the same. Welcome to Cyrodiil.
Since Bethesda released Skyrim back in 2011, modding teams spanning the globe have taken it upon themselves to recreate all of Tamriel. It's an ambitious long-term project that aims to release new areas as they are completed. Right now you can get a taste of the project with Beyond Skyrim Bruma, a region of Cyrodiil that's located directly south of Skyrim. However, Bruma is only the first step in a marathon. According to the Beyond Skyrim website, there are 7 regions being recreated using Bethesda's modding tool. Iliac Bay to the west, which consists of High Rock and Hammerfell, Morrowind to the east, Cyrodiil in the center of Tamriel, Elsweyr and Black Marsh to the south, and Atmora and Roscria north of Skyrim. Each of these regions have unique cultures, climates, infrastructures, architecture, vegetation, and politics. To say this project is ambitious is a huge understatement. What's more is that Beyond Skyrim relies entirely on volunteers and plans to release all of these mods for free. Now, this isn't the first time something like this has been attempted. In fact, Tamriel Rebuilt, a community recreating Tamriel within Elder Scrolls III's engine, still delivers regular updates. And when Oblivion released in 2006, modders attempted to create something similar with 4's improved engine, but that never quite came to fruition, at least to the same extent as Tamriel Rebuilt. Modders use the now defunct website Sograd Tower as a hub for creators to collaborate and share their work with one another. Unfortunately, many modders were dissatisfied with how these large-scale world-space mods were handled. As Beyond Skyrim's website puts it, too much effort had been scattered across too many projects, with duplication of effort and lack of resource sharing becoming an endemic problem in the community. So, as Skyrim's release date approached, the community began to discuss how these large-scale mods should be handled. While Beyond Skyrim wasn't the idea of a single person or team, the website points to a post started by Candlemaster on the Bethsoft forums that ignited the spark that led to Beyond Skyrim. Rather than unifying different teams to create the entirety of Tamriel, Beyond Skyrim, along with Dark Creations, a hub for modders, was used as a vehicle to coordinate with different teams, share resources, and give all the teams a single platform to share their creations with fellow modders and the world. Apart from a set of rules and procedures outlined in the Beyond Skyrim Constitution, the only caveat is that these regions have to be lore-friendly, take place around the same time as the events of Skyrim, and the overall quality must be on par or exceed that of Elder Scrolls V. But again, the team behind Cyrodiil and Bruma is only one of 7. Each of these teams have their own design philosophies, region-specific resources, and different stories to tell. Rich Marin, one of the leads for Cyrodiil, related it to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. All of these separate mods are free to tell their own stories, but the developers are aware that these creations and stories should fit within the larger universe that Beyond Skyrim has put forth. For example, one team can't create a questline that destroys all of Tamriel. Marin has been modding for 6 years now. He began on a project to recreate Solstheim, a small region northeast of Skyrim. However, weeks into the project, Bethesda announced Dragonborn, an expansion that took place in the very same region they were recreating. The project was shuttered, and Rich took notice of an inactive Cyrodiil project without a lead. He threw his name in the running, and with some help from Marcus Liberty, a creative who helped with Bruma, he got the position. Over the years, Beyond Skyrim has unified certain aspects of development, such as voice acting and the music department. In fact, the music you're hearing in this video was composed by Daniel Rand for Beyond Skyrim Bruma. But a lot of these decisions are left to the autonomous teams. While new ideas still need to be vetted, the Cyrodiil team is open to experimentation, even if it doesn't quite sync up with the lore. And that's one of the many things that's so cool about this project. As messy as Elder Scrolls lore can get, there is so much room for interpretation and untapped potential. Most developers build off their lore as new titles release, but these mods have the power to give us a fresh and vastly different take on areas that were explored years ago or only referenced. In Bruma alone, I can already see how the team is planting seeds for a larger plotline, and I couldn't be more excited to see where they take it.
And I hear rumors, whispers on the wind, of insurrectionist groups agitating against the current government.
There are so many opportunities to explore here. Take Iliac Bay. A few weeks ago, the team released a beautiful trailer for their mod, and it's brimming with potential. Sure, we saw High Rock and Hammerfell in the Elder Scrolls 2, but never quite like this. Seeing lush jungles and deserts is not only a breath of fresh air, but it holds thousands of new possibilities and scenarios that we would have never experienced in Skyrim. What Larian, Meglos, and the team are doing with Morrowind is another perfect example of that. In the official lore, Morrowind was devastated by a volcano before the events of Skyrim. Things are very different than what you remember from the Elder Scrolls 3, and the Morrowind team is embracing that. Parts of the world are caked with ash and a smoky haze hangs over the province. The prospect of this is even more interesting if you consider the fact that we may never see what Morrowind looked like after the volcano erupted in any official capacity. The mod is appropriately titled Morrowind: The Star-Wounded East. Both Meglos and Larian joined the Morrowind team in 2016. After a shift in direction and reshuffling of leadership, the two found themselves as directors. While they stick to lore whenever possible, they get a lot of inspiration from the Tamriel Rebuilt team. The geography, on the other hand, is pieced together from multiple sources. Once again, the team considers Tamriel Rebuilt as their primary source, but many of the locations from Elder Scrolls Online also appear in their vision of Morrowind. When I asked Marin about all these different directions the mods are going, he said that he thinks of Beyond Skyrim as a huge collection of work for folks who are trying to break into the industry or bolster their portfolios. In fact, Larian, one of the directors on Morrowind, is hoping for this to be his foot in the door once he's done with school. As of now, the only Beyond Skyrim mod available is Bruma. It adds the Geralt Mountains and the frigid city of Bruma. With the mod installed, you can find a border crossing on the southern end of Skyrim. After convincing the guards to let you through, you take your first steps in Cyrodiil. Having played around 15 hours of this mod, the first thing I noticed was how professional it looks. The voice acting, branching narratives, and quest design is as good, if not better at times, than anything you'd see in a Bethesda Game Studios RPG. Plus, it has its fair share of weird quests, which I personally love.
Yes, the Nern Theater, the center stage of the Imperial City, of the world. And they cast me out! The irredeemable fools!
According to Marin, Beyond Skyrim Bruma originally began as a proof of concept. The scope was much smaller and the main focus would be on the city itself. After promising a summer 2014 release date, the team decided that if they did hit that release window, they would have to drastically cut back on content and the level of polish wouldn't be up to par.
Back in July, we came to a difficult decision. We were going to delay Beyond Skyrim Bruma. We had announced it on our Facebook page, but we decided to announce it here also to make sure everyone is aware.
It wasn't until 2017 that the mod finally released, and it's clear that all that extra time went to good use. There were more quests, more creatures, an original score, and more detail overall. The completed mod feels more like an overly ambitious expansion than a demo of what's to come. 3 more years might sound like a long time, but creating something even of this scale is a massive endeavor. These large-scale mods begin with a height map, a low-poly aerial map of a landmass. Then, for Bruma at least, the assets like buildings, weapons, dungeons, armor sets, and vegetation are created. We are talking thousands of individually crafted items. Even something as simple as the iron weapons from Skyrim were redesigned for Bruma. After the space has been molded, these assets are added, and then quests, characters, and storylines are implemented. Then you have to consider voice acting, music, sound effects, bug testing, performance, animations, interiors, balancing, NPC routines, text found in books scattered throughout the world, and so on. The point is, in order to create something of this caliber, it requires a lot of time. And their work is starting to really pay off. The Bruma trailer has over 1 million views on YouTube, nearly 1 million downloads on Nexus mods, and 250,000 downloads on Xbox One. And it sounds like this success is exciting for the other teams as well. According to Meglos from the Morrowind team, Bruma really put them on the map. Many more people became aware of this project, and in turn, more people joined the various teams. Above all though, it proved to them that what they were trying to achieve could actually be done. However, Marin isn't sure if this success will continue forever. Like Oblivion and Morrowind before this, modders typically follow the games that will get their creations the most exposure, and fans typically care more about the latest iteration. While I can't imagine these mods shutting down when the Elder Scrolls 6 releases, it certainly does pose a threat. The best case scenario is that these mods release during Skyrim's life cycle. Fortunately for the modding teams, Bethesda has stated that its next installment is coming, but it's still a ways out. And as Meglos points out, people have been modding Morrowind for over 15 years. The community is still going strong. At most, Meglos believes that they will see a drop in membership when 6 launches, but production on the mods won't halt altogether. Another common fear for a project like this is turnover. When your team is entirely composed of volunteers, you'd think the workforce would come and go frequently. However, Marin assured me that that isn't necessarily the case. While he couldn't speak for the other teams, the core group behind Cyrodiil has been around for 3 to 4 years, and as of now, Cyrodiil has roughly 40 to 50 members, made up of artists, audio designers, writers, level designers, animators, and so on. But even for 50 dedicated people, this is still a massive undertaking. Morrowind, on the other hand, has a larger headcount. However, Larian did mention that 3D artists can be difficult to hold on to. Due to Skyrim's dated engine, 3D artists have stricter limitations than other departments. Despite the scope of this project, Marin, Larian, and Meglos made it clear that life comes first. As exciting and demanding as all these projects may be, it shouldn't take priority over school, work, well-being, or family. After all, there is no money involved in any of these projects. Most of these volunteers are trying to do the impossible while living a life. Typically, when we hear about mods of this scale, they either never see the light of day or are forgotten when they finally release. It's tough to keep a project like this going without a significant amount of money backing it, and even harder when your developers are largely made up of volunteers. Nevertheless, these teams push onward. Beyond Skyrim feels like a direct response to the failings and shortcomings of previous standalone mods made for Oblivion and Morrowind. Rather than working entirely independent of one another, the Beyond Skyrim teams have built something that allows everyone to work toward a similar goal while blazing their own unique trails. Against all odds, they are creating something far bigger than what Bethesda originally created in 2011. Something far bigger than anything we typically see from AAA developers, and something that's fulfilling the dream many never thought was possible. The dream of recreating Tamriel is slowly becoming a reality. So I think a little patience on our end isn't too much to ask. In an industry where publishers hide content behind paywalls and drip feed players in order to keep them coming back, it's refreshing to see a game that's being kept alive entirely by the community. Apart from re-releases, Bethesda stopped updating Skyrim and adding DLC years ago. Yet I still find myself coming back every few months thanks to folks like Marin, Larian, and Meglos. To me, Skyrim no longer feels like that janky immersive RPG Bethesda created all those years ago. It's an adventure that's constantly changing beneath my feet and heading in all sorts of exciting directions I would have never imagined. It's hard to say whether or not Beyond Skyrim will hit all those lofty goals they've set for themselves, but as someone looking in from the outside, it's clear they have built up an infrastructure to not only make a bigger Tamriel possible, but attainable.